This presentation provides information on the 2022 proposed budget for City of Columbia Heights municipal liquor operations. Within the liquor budget, there is a separate department for each store. That includes Store 1 on Central Avenue, Store 2 on 37th Avenue, and Store 3 on University Avenue. In addition, there is a fourth department that accounts for the activities that are not part of day-to-day store operations. This includes annual debt service that was used to finance the 2008 construction of Stores 1 and 2, annual transfers to the general fund, both for administrative labor such as paying vendors of the liquor store and paying payroll of the liquor store, $10,000 annual support for the police community programs budget, and $50,000 each year is transferred to the public works budget to support the street improvement program. This slide covers the revenue side of the liquor budget, and the one item that jumps out at you here is that for 2020 there was a sharp drop in sales, both due to the worldwide pandemic and due to store closures from civil unrest. The good news is that by mid-2021, monthly level of sales had returned close to the original projections for 2021, and the last fourth quarter of 2021 is expected to come in very close to the budgeted level of sales for the fourth quarter of 2021. Based on this return to something close to normal, we are projecting relatively normal growth and a relatively normal year in the budget for 2022. In addition, we would like to emphasize that even at the worst of the pandemic, there was never a decline in customer demand. Although customers may have reduced the number of trips they made to the store, that was generally offset by an increase in the amount purchased per trip on average. Really, the limiting factor on sales has been hours of operation, whether that be due to store closures from outside forces or labor shortages resulting in reduced hours. This slide shows the trend for operating expenses for the three stores combined, and the companion trend for the reduction in operations in 2020 was a reduction in personnel costs, labor costs, as shown here on this slide. The projected increase for the 2022 budget over the 2021 budget consists of an overall 2.5% proposed increase. That includes approximately 3% cost of living increases on wages, continued increased use of credit cards from customers. You may know that in about a year ago we stopped accepting checks permanently, and there was even a period of time during the pandemic when the stores did not accept cash, when we didn't quite know how the virus was spread. But we have been accepting cash for well over a year now. But many customers have continued to show an increased preference for handling credit cards rather than handling cash. And lastly, there is a certain updated aspects to the computer network that the stores use to connect back to city operations, and we have proposed to, or actually have already started, subcontracting the management of that segment of the network out to Comcast. We would like to emphasize that the budget for 2022 was prepared using estimates, and the actual outcome is subject to many forces beyond the city's control. This is, after all, we're talking about a retail operation. There will continue to be a challenging labor market. The stores do the best they can with competing in terms of a decent starting wage and good working conditions. And nonetheless, we're not always able to maintain desired store hours even at this point. Right now, 2 of our 3 stores are at full hours, and store 3 is slightly down from full hours. But we expect this is probably something you've noticed at many of the places you shop, that they're perhaps at reduced hours. We have also noticed a trend of many businesses requiring customers to order over the internet or through an app. And sometimes this is paired with curbside pickup or contracted delivery as a method of addressing this labor shortage. We're reviewing this as to whether any of that type of service model is useful for addressing the challenges at the liquor store in terms of hours of operation. And in addition, we may come to see a certain segment of the customer base just expect to do business in that way as their normal way of doing business, and we may need to offer it to retain those customers. Lastly, periodic challenges to the current regulatory structure for municipal liquor show up from time to time, and some of these are improve the city's current business model, and potentially some of them could be adverse to the city's current business model. Thank you for your attention to this presentation, and if you wish to see additional details on the liquor budget, we encourage you to review the city manager's full 2022 budget on the city's website.